Would you believe us if we told you that somebody was hit by 50 pitches during an MLB season? Or that somebody else was hit by 191 RBIs in 1 year? What about somebody hitting for an entire season, yet only striking out 3 times? You would probably call us crazy, right? Well, all 3 of these insane stats are not only true, but are also a few of the many MLB records that will never be broken. Want to learn about some more? Then keep watching. Let's return to those 50 hit-by pitches. Ron Hunt was an infielder who played 12 seasons in the MLB from 1963 to 1974, suiting up for the New York Mets, Los Angeles Dodgers, San Francisco Giants, Montreal Expos, and St. Louis Cardinals. Hunt was your typical MLB player. Aside from his penchant for getting hit by pitches, Hunt ranked 6th all-time for most hit by pitches in MLB history, with 243. Yet, Hunt also holds the record for the most hit by pitches in a single season, when he was plucked 50 times in 1971. For context, the only player in modern baseball to even come close to that record is Astros legend Craig Biggio, who was hit 34 times in 1997. Although it's worth noting that some dude named Huey Jennings holds the record over Hunt, because he was allegedly hit by 51 pitches in 1896. But because that was before the American League was a thing, Jennings' record isn't technically tied to the MLB. Regardless, there's no chance that anyone will come close to 50 hit-by pitches in the future. And in the crazy case they do, we hope their clubhouse has a whole lot of ice. One of the best-known unbreakable MLB records is Cal Ripken Jr.'s streak of 2,632 straight games played. But what a lot of people don't know is that Ripken had multiple instances where he had to play through an injury in order to keep his iconic streak intact. The most absurd injury Ripken dealt with is when White Sox reliever Roberto Hernandez slipped and broke Ripken's nose during a photo shoot before the 1996 MLB All-Star Game. Yet, this didn't keep Ripken out of the All-Star Game, even though he could have sat it out and still kept his streak alive. For context, the longest games played streak since Ripken called it quits came from fellow Baltimore Oriole Miguel Tejada. Tejada played in 1,152 games, from 2000 to 2007, which isn't even halfway to Ripken's record. We'd be shocked if someone was ever to surpass Tejada's consecutive games played streak in the future, let alone approaching what Ripken accomplished. Oakland Athletics speedster Ricky Henderson set an untouchable MLB record when he stole 130 bases in 1982. Not only have just 5 players in this century stole half as many bases in a season as Henderson did in '82, but only 14 teams have stolen more than 130 bases in a season over the last 10 years. There's a good chance that nobody ever steals 100 bases in a season ever again. Therefore, Henderson can feel confident that his stolen base record will remain historic. And now it's time to give Hack Wilson some love. Wilson is the proud owner of that insane 191 RBIs in a season record, which happened while he was playing for the Cubs back in 1930. Although this record does require a slight disclaimer, baseball was at its offensive peak during that time. In fact, there were 6 players who topped 150 RBIs that year. Still, that doesn't take away from Wilson's record surely never getting broken. The only person who has come remotely close in modern baseball was when Manny Ramirez sent 165 guys across home plate in 1999. Nobody can hack quite like a hack. Speaking of Wilsons, Chief Wilson hit 36 triples while playing for the Pirates in 1912. The most triples hit during 2023 was 11, by Bobby Witt Jr. It's safe to say that the Chiefs' record is here to stay. Our personal favorite MLB record that will never be broken is the 232 walks that Barry Bonds accrued during the 2004 season. This man was so terrifying to the opposing pitching staffs that he was issued 120 intentional passes on the year, some of them coming during the first inning, or with the bases loaded. And aside from Bonds, only one other person has ever drawn so as many as 45 intentional passes in a season. Bonds holds the top 3 single-season record for walks. Nobody has, or ever will, spend so much time trotting down the first baseline. Although Ichiro ran down the first baseline 30 times more than Bonds trotted down it during that 2004 season. The 262 hits that Ichiro tallied that year is a fascinating feat of durability and consistency. The Japanese icon simply had a knack for putting the ball where the fielders weren't. And even if he put the ball where the fielders were, he was usually fast enough to beat the ball to first base. Someone would have to hit 373 and log more than 700 ABs in a season if they were to beat Ichiro's 262 hits record. For context, only 4 players in MLB history have ever recorded 700 at-bats in a season. Ichiro's record is safe and sound. Ichiro is the only person in baseball history who has ever had a chance at reaching 2 Pete Rose records, his 15,890 plate appearances, and the 4,256 hits he had across his MLB career. But because Ichiro started his professional baseball career in Japan and played there for 9 years, he never would have been able to get that many hits after coming to the MLB in 2001. While Pete Rose is now better known for being kicked out of the MLB for betting on his own team, we'll never see another hitter like him. Across his 24-season career, Rose averaged 662 plate appearances per year, which is absolutely ridiculous. There are only 33 players in MLB history who can claim that they're members of the 300 hit club. None aside from Rose have made it up to 4,000, and it will remain that way. Good things are supposed to come in threes, aren't they? Well, we have a couple of insane records relating to 3 that are pretty good indeed. The first one is the 3 home runs that pitcher Reggie Cleveland allowed in 1976. Like Sowell, don't think Cleveland barely threw all season. He tossed 170 innings across 41 games. Somehow, hitters simply couldn't put the ball over the fence against this MLB Hall of Famer. There's no way we'll ever see a pitcher throw that many innings and give up so few home runs ever again. Another 3-related record is the stat we mentioned earlier, about Joe Sowell striking out only 3 times in a season. When he played for the Yankees in 1932, Sowell played in 125 games and had 576 plate appearances that year, and struck out less during them than some guys do in a single game nowadays. Sowell played 14 MLB seasons, and the most he ever struck out in a season was 20 times. He had less than 10 strikeouts in 10 of his seasons as well. This guy must have been really allergic to strikeouts. One guy who is certainly not allergic to strikeouts is Nolan Ryan. The legend tallied 5,714 of them across his 27-season career. For context, that's nearly 1,000 strikeouts more than Randy Johnson, who has the second most career Ks with 4,875. The 2,795 career walks that Ryan procured is also worth mentioning. This is also nearly 1,000 more than the second guy, Steve Carlton, who issued 1,833 free passes. Perhaps Ryan didn't trust his fielders, and therefore tried his best not to have the ball put in play. But we have to respect both of Ryan's untouchable records. One guy who knows a lot about being on bases, or at least running around them, is Hank Aaron. The former MLB home run champion hit for 6,856 career total bases, which is over 600 more than the current second-place holder, Albert Pujols. We would say that's a whole lot of running Aaron had to do, but a bunch of those bases came while he was in a trot, rather than a run. Speaking of home runs, when Aaron set that record, the man he surpassed was Babe Ruth. Yet Ruth still has Aaron beat when it comes to the 177 runs he scored in 1921. It certainly helped that Ruth was in the middle of the Yankees' murderer's row, which is considered the best lineup in MLB history. Although that doesn't matter when it comes to the history books. The bottom line is that all of these MLB records will live forever, and through them, so will those who produce them.